I don't know when the apology started living inside me. I don't remember the exact moment it became a reflex, something I say even when no one asks for it. But I know this much: it feels older than I am, like it grew with me, like it learned my name before I did. I'm sorry I wasn't good enough, but I tried to be. That sentence doesn't come from one mistake. It comes from years of realizing that effort doesn't always turn into value, that wanting something badly doesn't mean you'll be able to hold it, that loving people with everything you have still doesn't guarantee you'll be enough for them to stay. I tried, I really did, and that's the part that hurts the most. Knowing I didn't fail because I didn't care, or because I was lazy, or because I didn't give enough. I failed while trying. I failed while hoping. I failed while believing that if I just pushed myself a little harder, became a little quieter, a little kinder, a little easier to love, things would finally work out. But they didn't. There's a specific kind of pain that comes with that. It's not loud. It doesn't scream. It sits with you, settles in your chest and makes everything heavier than it should be. You wake up tired even when you slept. You apologize in your head for things you haven't done yet. You replay conversations, moments, versions of yourself, wondering where exactly you went wrong, or if being wrong was just who you were all along. I've spent so much of my life trying to become someone easier to keep, someone people wouldn't get tired of, someone who didn't ask for too much, didn't feel too deeply, didn't need reassurance, didn't need space, didn't need understanding. I learned early that needing too much is dangerous. It pushes people away, so I learned to shrink, to swallow things, to tell myself it's fine even when it wasn't. And when people left anyway, I didn't blame them. I blamed myself. Maybe if I was better, maybe if I was calmer, maybe if I didn't overthink, maybe if I wasn't like this. That's the exhausting part, carrying the belief that every ending is proof that you were the problem, that every goodbye confirms what you already suspected, that there's something missing in you, something unremarkable, something replaceable. I wish I could say I don't think like that anymore, but I still do. Late at night when there's no one around to perform for, no one to reassure, no distractions loud enough to drown out the truth, it comes back. The quiet realization that I've been apologizing my entire life for existing the way I do. I apologize for being emotional. I apologize for being distant when I'm overwhelmed. I apologize for caring too much. I apologize for not being enough even when I gave everything. Sometimes I wonder how many versions of myself I've buried just to survive. How many dreams I quietly let go of because they felt unrealistic for someone like me. How many times I told myself, "You're asking for too much," when all I really wanted was to feel chosen without having to prove my worth first. There's a loneliness in trying your best and still feeling like a disappointment. It's different from failing without effort. Because when you don't try, at least you can pretend the outcome didn't matter. But when you do try, when you give your time, your energy, your heart, and it still isn't enough, you're left with nothing to hide behind. No excuses. No safety net, just the quiet truth. This is me and it wasn't enough. I've been told you did your best, and that's what matters. But some nights that sentence feels cruel. Because what do you do when your best doesn't change the outcome? When your best still ends in loss? When your best still leaves you alone with the same doubts, the same emptiness, the same feeling that everyone else seems to have something you don't? People say failure builds character, but no one talks about how it breaks you first, how it teaches you to expect disappointment, how it makes you hesitant to hope again because hope starts to feel embarrassing, like reaching for something you already know won't reach back. I don't think I'm ungrateful. I think I'm just tired of trying to measure my worth through other people's reactions. Tired of feeling like I'm constantly auditioning for a place in someone's life. Tired of pretending that rejection doesn't leave marks. Sometimes I imagine what it would feel like to be someone who doesn't apologize so much. Someone who believes they are enough without explanation. Someone who doesn't replay their failures at 2 a.m. Someone who doesn't feel like they have to earn the right to be loved. But that someone doesn't feel like me. So instead, I sit with this version of myself. The one who tried. The one who hoped. The one who failed anyway. I sit with the shame, the regret, the quiet grief of not becoming who I thought I would be. I sit with the apology that never seems to end. I'm sorry I was not good enough, but I tried to be. And maybe the saddest part is this. If I had to do it all over again, knowing how it would end, I think I still would have tried. Because not trying feels worse than failing. Because hope, even when it hurts, is the only proof I have that I cared. And caring, despite everything, is the one thing I still haven't learned how to stop doing. At some point, trying stopped feeling noble and started feeling foolish. Not because effort is wrong, but because I kept believing it would protect me. That if I cared enough, stayed long enough, bent myself carefully around other people's needs, I would finally be safe from being left. I thought trying was armor. I thought love, patience, and sacrifice would make me irreplaceable. But trying didn't save me. It just taught me how much I was willing to lose before I finally admitted I was tired. There's a specific exhaustion that comes from always being the one who adjusts. The one who understands. The one who forgives first. The one who says it's okay even when it's not. You don't notice it right away because you're too busy convincing yourself that this is what love looks like, that this is maturity, that this is strength. But slowly, quietly, you disappear. You stop asking for things. You stop expressing discomfort. You stop expecting effort back. And then one day you realize you've been surviving on crumbs while calling it loyalty. I used to believe that if someone saw how hard I was trying, they would stay. That they would notice the late nights, the second chances, the way I swallowed my pride just to keep the peace. I thought effort was loud. I thought it showed. But most of the time, effort is invisible, especially when people get used to it. They don't see your restraint. They don't feel your inner battles. They don't hear the arguments you silence in your head just to avoid conflict. They only notice when you stop. And when I finally did, when I pulled back, when I grew quieter, when I stopped explaining myself, that's when people said I changed. That's when they noticed something was wrong. Not when I was breaking. Not when I was shrinking. Only when I was no longer convenient. That realization stays with you. It teaches you that being good doesn't guarantee being valued. That being patient doesn't make you protected. That loving deeply doesn't mean you'll be loved carefully in return. And once you learn that, it's hard to unlearn. I started questioning everything about myself. Was I too much? Was I not enough? Was I hard to love? Was I easy to forget? I replayed moments where I could have been different. Quieter, smarter, more confident, less emotional. I wondered if there was a version of me that would have been easier to keep. A version that didn't need reassurance. A version that didn't feel things so deeply. A version that didn't apologize for existing but didn't take up space either. And the worst part is realizing that no matter how much I changed, it still wouldn't have been enough, because the problem wasn't always me. But self-blame is addictive. It gives you the illusion of control. It lets you believe that if you were just better, the pain wouldn't have happened. Accepting that some people leave no matter what you do is scarier than believing you failed, because if it's not your fault, then there's nothing you could have done. And that helplessness is unbearable, so I keep apologizing. To people who left, to people who stayed, to myself. I apologize for needing reassurance. I apologize for getting attached. I apologize for hoping things would last. I tell myself I should have known better, that I should have expected less, that I should have learned earlier that effort doesn't equal security. But knowing something logically doesn't stop your heart from wanting what it wants. I wanted to be chosen without conditions. I wanted to be loved without earning it. I wanted to be enough without proving it. Instead, I learned how to survive disappointment quietly. I learned how to smile through loss. I learned how to say I'm fine so convincingly that even I started to believe it. Until the nights came, until the silence returned, until I was alone with the version of myself that no one ever sees. That version is tired, not dramatic tired, not lazy tired, existential tired, the kind of tired that comes from always trying to be better for others and never feeling better about yourself. The kind that makes you wonder how much more you can give before there's nothing left. The kind that doesn't want advice or motivation, just rest. I don't think I'm broken. I think I'm worn down. Worn down from hoping. Worn down from believing. Worn down from trying to be good enough for people who didn't know how to hold what I gave. And maybe that's the truth I'm slowly learning to accept. Trying doesn't always lead to being saved. Sometimes it just teaches you where your limits are. Sometimes it teaches you who you are when there's nothing left to prove. I'm still here, still breathing, still trying, even if I don't know why anymore. But this time the apology feels different. Not just I'm sorry I wasn't good enough, but also, I'm sorry I kept hurting myself trying to be. I don't think people understand how hard it is to stop apologizing to yourself. When you've spent so long believing that everything falling apart was your fault, guilt becomes familiar. It becomes a language you speak fluently. You replay moments over and over, not because you enjoy the pain, but because you're hoping to find proof that you deserved a different ending. I searched for that proof everywhere, in old messages, in memories that still sting, in the silence people left behind. I wanted to find the exact moment where I failed. The sentence I should have said differently. The emotion I should have hidden better. The version of myself that would have been easier to love. I thought if I could identify the mistake, I could finally forgive myself. But there was no single moment, no clear turning point, no obvious failure. Just a slow realization that sometimes effort doesn't change outcomes. That sometimes love doesn't land where you place it. That sometimes people don't leave because you weren't enough. They leave because they couldn't meet you where you stood. And that truth hurts in a different way. Because it means all that trying wasn't useless. It just wasn't returned. I used to think surviving meant becoming stronger, louder, more confident. But surviving actually changed me in quieter ways. I became more careful with my words, more hesitant with my feelings, more aware of how easily people misunderstand softness as weakness. I survived, yes, but I didn't come out the same. There's a version of me that existed before all the disappointment. Someone who believed effort would be seen, that intentions mattered, that love was enough. That version trusted easily, hoped freely, gave without fear of loss. That version didn't make it, and I mourn them more than I mourn the people who left. Because losing others hurts, but losing yourself feels permanent. Feels like something you can't get back, only replace. And the person who replaces you is usually quieter, guarded, less willing to dream out loud. Still here, but altered. I don't hate who I've become. I just miss who I was. I miss how hopeful everything felt before reality taught me restraint. Before disappointment taught me distance. Before I learned that being good doesn't always mean being chosen. But here's the part I'm finally ready to say. Without apology, without self-blame, I did try. I tried in the ways that mattered to me. I tried with honesty, patience, and care. I tried even when I was scared. I tried even when I wasn't sure anyone noticed. And maybe that didn't save the relationships. Maybe it didn't change the outcome. Maybe it didn't make me special in anyone else's story. But it means something to mine. I'm done measuring my worth by what didn't last. I'm done apologizing for loving deeply. I'm done treating my effort like a mistake. Some people will never understand how much you gave because they only remember what they received. And that's something I'm learning to live with. Not because it's fair, but because holding on to resentment keeps me tied to endings that are already over. This isn't closure. It's not peace. It's not healing. It's acceptance. Acceptance that I survived by becoming someone else. Acceptance that trying didn't make me weak. Acceptance that not being chosen doesn't mean I wasn't worthy of being chosen at all. So if this is the end of the apology, let it be this. I'm sorry I wasn't good enough. Not because I failed, but because I believed that love had to be earned through pain. I tried. Even if it didn't save me. Even if it changed me. Even if no one ever fully understood. And that has to be enough.